What is the stupidest thing people brag about? Story 1. Getting away with a crime. There was a in the Chicago suburbs that went unsolved for 9 years until one of the two perps told a new girlfriend about it and turned them in. Story 2. Kid in my class bragged about how he stole an air freshener from the school bathroom. He was holding an unwrapped wet urinal cake in his hand. Story 3. Anything to do with hustle culture. Why you got shitty sleep under your desk? I was comfortable in my bed. A strange flex. Story 4. My neighbor was bragging about how long her 3-year-old son's was. She told my wife and I, everyone always says on his is so long. I'm just like, why the have so many people seen your boys one? Story 5. 1. How little sleep they got. 2. How late they stayed at work. 3. How much they drank. 4. How many people they Story 6. Sometime over the last decade or so, people started using the term body count for their cumulative number of lifetime partners. Unless you're doing it with all of them concurrently, I am not impressed. Story 7. Guys who brag about being built different. Sure dude. You have a beard, a full sleeve tattoo, and a pickup truck. You're so different. Story 8. Money. From what I've read, family gets greedy and entitled. It's best to keep your mouth shut about money to every family member. Story 9. I'm not sure if it's intended as so, but people talk about their mental issues like it's a flex. It's not a flex, it's a disease. Story 10. A local restaurant manager brags about their wine. They don't sell this to individuals. It's so good, it is only for restaurants. Aka. It's is so good, it costs them $4 a bottle, and you will have sulfate headaches before you finish your meal. Story 11. A guy at work bragged about getting a mo. Ache for a fact he makes less than I do, and it would financially irresponsible for me to get that car. Have fun being broke all the time. Story 12. How much they drink. These are usually the same people who freak out about weed. Oh, I drank like 8 beers last night. But loses their mind when they learn you smoked weed at one point or another's. Story 13. Flaunting money when it's their parents' money and they did nothing to earn it. I came from a town where everyone was pretty much upper middle class and above. My dad made me get a job young and work around the house all day to learn discipline and build a work ethic, and didn't give any handouts which they easily could have. I'd be proud when I earned enough from working to afford something, then see other people who just sat around all day flaunting their stuff all over. Annoying. Friends, before we continue our video, I want to remind you of the importance of subscribing to our channel. We are also waiting for your comments and likes. Thank you. Let's move on to the video. Story 14. Anyone who brags about something they didn't earn. Nice home but live with parents. Don't brag. You did nothing to moan. Deserve it. High-paying job in family business. Don't brag. You did nothing to own. Deserve it. Things like clothing, jewelry, watches, cars, etc. that were gifted by parents or family. Don't brag. You did nothing to own. Deserve. Too many coddled kids who piggyback their parents' hard work via deflected ownership. Winning the lucky lottery is no reason to brag. Story 15. Never having read a book since they left school. That's just not an achievement at all. It's not hard to do, and there is no good in not doing it. I wouldn't say people who read are necessarily more educated, but apart from the chance to educate you is simply another hobby. I've never seen anyone brag, oh, I haven't visited a theater since school, or I haven't done archery since we had it in school. It's just nothing to brag about. Story 16. I haven't read a book since 7th grade. Neat. Hi everyone. If you don't like reading for whatever reason, but you don't go around acting like an ass about it, then I'm not talking about you, and there is no need to justify yourself to me or get defensive. I'm talking about people who actually brag about not reading as if it's a good personality trait and something to show off. That's it. Story 17. Spending tens and thousands of dollars on designer clothes. Most people who show off designer aren't as rich as they look. They just throw their whole paycheck on clothes. In reality, they're just showing off how bad they are with money. Story 18. Guys who say things like, I have never hit a woman, like they're heroes. It's basic human decency. Why would you have pride in that? Story 19. Working 80,100 hours a week. Like, sure, I get it. Sometimes you have to do that. Farmers, military, etc. But some of these people have 2+ full-time jobs just to get by, and they brag about it. Story 20. British people bragging about how great they are at queuing. It's not hard. You just stand behind the person in front of you. I don't get it. Story 21. I met a guy within the past year that likes to brag about how racist he is, never asked in his age, but he seems to be around 60 or 70. I also went to high school with a guy who lasted about a year before dropping out, who bragged about how he received a rectal frisking at an airport because he tried to bring a on a plane. Story 22. How many hours of their lives they waste at work, how much they exert themselves, and how much time with their family and personal lives they're missing out on because they're hard, honest workers. Funniest thing is that they're usually underpaid employees who believe they'll one day be rewarded for this. Story 23. My boomer mother likes to brag about how incredibly loyal she was to my dad, who she was married to for nearly 40 years until he passed away. He was more often than not cold and disrespectful to her. His own mother would often tell him to be nicer to her. I remember witnessing her breaking down and crying in front of us because of how he would treat her. And she wonders why I've had shitty relationships with men throughout the years. Story 24. Not doing their work or pulling your weight. Yes, it is somewhat impressive you've often gotten away with not doing your exercises or not contributing to presentations and so on. But it's mostly impressive because it shows you just have enough charisma to hide how much of a pain you are, which only puts me off. Story 25. How much they drink and how much they work. Also, when people brag about not drinking water, I've seen that a couple times. How little they exercise, or the expression, if I'm running, you better be too because something's chasing me. Story 26. Giving birth at home with no meds. You did something potentially dangerous for 2 individuals and you suffered needlessly. Because it's natural. Congrats, Madison, you were lucky and didn't need a C-section. That's coincidence. And nature gives you 1 in 6 odds of surviving pregnancy and labor. Cancer is also natural, so is dying a staph infection. Stop shaming other mothers for something so beyond their control. Story 27. About the amount of hours they spend slaving for the boss and take pride in that. The programming is strong in these ones. Father second. The amount of likes and followers they have on whatever platform and feel like a big shot because of that. Story 28. In online parenting groups, there is a trend of older moms bragging about how much harder they had it and how they did it all alone without help, etc. Oh, you had a washing machine. I had to hand wash all my baby's cloth diapers and I never complained. That's nice, Sharon, but I'd like life to be better for my kids than it was for me, and better again for their kids. Why is it a thing to begrudge anyone having a benefit you missed out on? Just be happy for people. Story 29. How big their privates are. That is personal information. Story 30. How little they are eating, that they've only had a coffee all day, how much they work out. I get that we live in a superficial culture that makes a lot of people feel they have to show off their accomplishments, but being malnourished on the edge of pooping your pants while doing squats at gym is not a hot look. You haven't eaten in 2 days? Congratulations, I'm going to throw a cucumber at your head if you don't shut up. Story 31. A guy yesterday proudly told me that he didn't need to be aware of history that he chose not to be aware of, that he could pick and choose what was relevant to him. If you were ever wondering how and why human culture follows the same pattern of mistakes, that's how. Deliberate, willful, and prideful ignorance by choice. I remain really just stunned. Story 32. Having money. Story 33. Something they bought. Like, yay, you spent money on something. Is that supposed to be impressive? Story 34. Where they're from. Story 35. How politically correct they are. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.